Hey everyone, this is D, Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And today I'm coming to you all with a review for Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Co-written and directed by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daley, and starring Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Regé-Jean Page, Justice Smith, Sophia Lillis, and Hugh Grant. Story-wise, this is based on the popular tabletop role-playing game, and the film is centered around a band of unlikely adventurers: a bard, barbarian, paladin, sorcerer, and druid, who find themselves embarking on an epic and expansive quest to retrieve a lost magical relic. So, I'm going to start with the pros. I have to say that this was very much an unexpected and pleasant surprise. Now, as I previously mentioned, we do have two directors that are on board with this film. We have Jonathan Goldstein, who is a screenwriter, television writer, producer, and film director. And we also have John Francis Daley, who is an actor, filmmaker, writer, and musician. Come to find out, this is actually not their first collaboration together. They have worked on various projects in the past. Their first collaboration together was co-writing the film Horrible Bosses in 2011, The Incredible Burt Wonderstone in 2013, Horrible Bosses 2 in 2014, and they also co-wrote and co-directed in their directorial debut the fifth film in the National Lampoon's Vacation film series, Vacation, in 2015. They also were both a part of the writing team for Spider-Man Homecoming in 2017, and they also co-directed Game Night in 2018. So I would say, all things considered, the track record is looking pretty solid. And I must say, just Game Night alone, oh man, I really thought the Game Night going in was going to be a more typical film as far as, you know, R-rated comedies and the typical stuff we see, but man, oh man, what a time that film was. And I mean, I promise you, I can watch that film any day of the week and laugh just about as hard as I did the first time. Absolutely love it. And they actually co-wrote the screenplay for this film with Gilio from a story that he and Chris McKay conceived previously. So I think if I had known that going into this, I probably would have been okay, or at least had a little more hope. But going off the trailers, I was like, no. I don't know what it is, because I know with trailers it's hard to create something that reflects everything that makes the film potentially great without showing everything. But I don't know what it was. Just something about that trailer, I was just like, this looks like a cheese fest. This looks real corny and campy, which sometimes can be fun. But it looked like it was going to be real cringeworthy, like, ooh. But I have to say, I never would have saw it coming, but this film was such a delight. Like, it really was. And I think there was something about it that felt very nostalgic. Now, that could be because Dungeons and Dragons has been around since the 70s, and so there's just this, I don't know, kind of classic quality to it that somehow is transcending the fact that this is being made in the here and now. But it just reminded me of what it was like to enjoy the genre and kind of discover the genre as a child. I have always been here for fantasy. And even outside of film and movies, you guys know I've been reading since I was 2. Fairy tales, mythology, fables, folklore, and the list goes on. You name it, I read it. I would say that Beauty and the Beast was my first introduction to that genre cinematically. And that is still one of my all-time favorite films to this day. Then, as I've gotten older, I have developed an additional appreciation for medieval fantasy. So we are talking The Sword and the Stone, Sleeping Beauty, Willow, The Princess Bride, Beowulf, Dracula Untold, Maleficent, The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lord of the Rings, like you name it, I am here for it once again. And I think that this film delivered in so many ways because it encapsulated a lot of aspects of that genre, and it's just such fun. Like, it's so much fun to watch, and like I said, it just really brought back some childhood memories. I think my inner child was really happy and really enjoying so many aspects of this. Shout out to Preston and Lauren. Those are two very good friends of mine whose appreciation of this genre and, fantasy and all aspects of this, their love for that runs far deeper than mine. And I mean that in the best way possible. They are, collectors, they'll go to the festivals, they'll go to some of the cons, and, they have really allowed me to also appreciate it deeper than I did before. And when I saw this, I immediately thought of them because they have definitely been, and currently are still, Dungeons and Dragons players. And I know just from, our conversations together and our experiences together that they have had some really, really great experiences with the game and some not so great experiences with the game, Insider. But that's okay. Well, they loved it. And they actually were interested in hearing my review for this. So I figured I would just put them on blast really, really quickly and just show my appreciation for them as people, as friends, but also as dedicated fans of this genre who can really have fun with it and see their love and their fandom reflected on screen. I always say this, and it is still true today, but I love a good ensemble cast. I love a motley crew. I love, an unlikely group coming together with all their different strengths and weaknesses to an extent. And I think that since this film is basically a fantasy heist action comedy, I think that group dynamic really contributes to a lot of the fun and a lot of the humor and a lot of the hijinks that make this film so enjoyable. I liked that everyone was bringing something to the table, not just their individual powers and strengths, but also their chemistry with each other. It was just nice seeing everyone bond and just kind of work together as a team and going against the odds, in spite of all this madness that's going on. They're really doing their best as this unlikely crew to, to seek out this relic and to turn the tables and make some really unexpected things happen. And I enjoyed it a lot. I also think the use of practical effects added to that. We get so used to CGI. But seeing actual physical figures and beings with makeup and skin and feathers or talons or whatever it might be added, and it just made it feel all the more real. We know that we're stepping into this fantasy world, but that made it feel all the more grounded. That also took me back as far as a nostalgic piece and growing up watching animatronics and puppets and just the practicality of it all. I really enjoyed that piece of it too. All right, now I'm going to jump over to the cons. Not a whole lot to write home about, nothing that was just abominably bad, but just a couple of things I thought I would mention. My biggest issue with this film is that not every story arc is fully fleshed out, particularly when it comes to the character of Doric, who is portrayed by Sophia Lillis. She has the most unique power out of the bunch, and there are these references to her having some kind of contention and resentment when it comes to humans. I wish we could have gone deeper with that because I think it would have really added to the development of her character and it would have made her feel a lot more well-rounded. Lastly, I did feel like the film started to overstay its welcome just a little bit towards the end. This was 2 hours and 10 minutes, and it wasn't something that was unbearable, and considering that we have had so many 2 hour and 20, 2 hour and 30, 2 hour and 40, minute films. In comparison, the runtime is not unbearable, I just think it did need some trimming. I did start to feel the stretch towards the end, especially because there's a point where it feels like the story is going to draw to a close, but it's also clear that a specific piece of the story hasn't happened or is about to happen. So it's kind of like, all right, so we got like 30 more minutes to go. And, it wasn't bad. It was still very fun and very engaging. But at that point, it was kind of like, okay, I'm feeling it a little bit. So let's close this out. So I'm going to give Dungeons and Dragons a B minus. Like I said, this was an absolute surprise for me. The trailers had it looking like quite the struggle, but it was not that. I think it had so much charm and so much humor and just so many aspects to bring the inner kid out of you and just make you feel engaged and enjoy the escapism of it all. I'm always here for that. And anytime I can feel like I can enter a new world and feel a part of it and laugh and maybe even cry a little bit because, the tears were trying to come a couple of times and I was not expecting that. But anytime I can have my emotions engaged, where I can be stimulated with action and with fantasy and, with portals and all sorts of magical and unique shenanigans that come along with fantasy, I'm always here for that. So I think that this is a very unexpected surprise, but a very pleasant and welcome surprise. This is one I absolutely did not regret seeing, and I probably wouldn't mind seeing again. Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves is now playing in theaters. You guys are free to check it out, leave your thoughts below, and let me know what you think. So, once again, this is D Movieman, signing off, and I'll see you at the movies.